Welcome back, listeners, to How Good Was It? It feels like I haven't been here in a freaking millennium, but it's only been a week to you, the listeners. Hello, Scott.
Hey, welcome back, June.
It's a big welcome back. We haven't seen each other's faces in over a week, it feels. What's up, Dana?
What's up, June? The only face that Scott seen was Harrison Ford, so
Oh,
it is
it's
what
so
it
many
is.
times.
Yes, as we roll on with our perfect movie month, and we're on Scott's picks now. One of them, which was
Woo!
or is The Fugitive, and that is the movie that we will be covering tonight. It just gave Scott an excuse to watch this movie over and over again, apparently. Is this
Yes.
true, Scott? Am I correct in saying
I've
this?
I've watched it only three times in the last week. I watched it when we decided to do this right away after we did first episode. Then I
Uh,
watched it the director's commentary track with him and Tommy Lee Jones. I listened to
wow.
them talk through the whole
My
movie, and then I
goodness.
watched it again today. So, and then plus I watched many extra featurettes because I bought this on digital streaming, so I now own The Fugitive.
He loves this movie to death, and I don't think we need his critique at this point, at the end of this episode, because we know where
For
this is
Nope,
real.
going.
no notes.
Yeah, of course, no notes.
No
Let's
notes. I,
go
I love
ahead.
the idea that there's two movies that I know for a fact that Scott has bought. He has bought he has bought The Fugitive, and then he had to buy like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So like I
Exactly,
love
yes.
how these are the two movies that he had to get.
Yeah, the only
And
movies
one of
I
them
own
is
on
the
iTunes are those two movies. So yeah,
At the same time.
yeah.
Man, let's just jump into The Fugitive because this is one hell of a movie. There's probably going to be a lot to unpack with this one, and we're going to discover why this was on Scott's list to
Well, you don't
be.
even need to ask. I mean,
Oh,
you
I
just
need
saw the
to
movie.
ask. I need to ask, and we'll
Uh,
you'll see why as we go along
yeah.
with this episode. But let's get into it, man. Yeah, you want to throw some facts and figures at us, Mr. Scott?
All right. Well, I mean, this is a big success, much bigger success than the two movies you guys put out. But
wow,
this movie came out in
honestly.
1993 for a budget of $44 million. Made a whopping $368 million in 1993.
Oh,
It was the third
impressive.
highest grossing film of that year. But that year also, I believe, Jurassic Park, a movie called Jurassic Park came out. A lovely movie called Forrest Gump also came out that year. And so
Really?
did a movie called Pulp Fiction.
Forrest
So it was
fucking Gump.
nominated for 77 Academy Awards. It won for Best Supporting Actor, did not win for Best Picture. Forrest Gump somehow won for Best Picture that year
Huh.
over
Somehow.
Pulp Fiction and over Shawshank Redemption. So yeah, we really should do Forrest Gump for this podcast because tell you what,
Somebody totally
it is
had it
not
on
better than those other three films.
his perfect movie list. Somebody had it on his
Mhm.
perfect movie list. One of the three of us. I don't
I,
Yes,
know who.
yes.
I'm gonna have to say we're gonna have to do Forrest Gump because now I want to compare.
uh,
Now I got to see how it holds up.
doesn't
But
hold a candle.
well,
Uh, this movie was directed by Andrew Davis, who is not a super acclaimed director. He is known for doing Seagal films. He did Above the Law and he did Under Siege. Under Siege was
Wow.
this movie that he did right before this, and which Tommy Lee Jones was in. Tommy Lee Jones really was not, he won Best Supporting Actor for this. He was not, he was a character actor before this movie. He wasn't a big name. He would
yeah.
just came off playing a villain in a Seagal film and then got this role. And then from this role, it launched him into being a major star. So, this was
Oh,
a big stepping stone for him.
yeah.
This movie went through like a lot of like issues. I think they were working on it for like 5 years. They went through 9 writers and I think like
Wow.
25 scripts and multiple directors before they finally got it. And
Interesting.
they really didn't have like they had like a template for the script, but a lot of it wasn't there. These guys really improved a lot of these scenes, especially Tommy Lee Jones and his crew, his all his other marshals. Almost all their dialogues ad lib. Like they knew what the scene was, but they would talk about it ahead of time. Like, oh, I think he would say this. I think he would say that. And like all the kind of the comedy parts of it, were Tommy Lee Jones, his scene about why don't you pick me up a cup of coffee? That Tommy Lee Jones wrote that. The director said he
Hmm.
really should have been credited as a writer on it. How many lines he wrote for this movie? But it was a bit of a mess. Him and Ford really ad libbed a lot of stuff and really improv a lot of stuff in this movie. It was really made on the fly in a way. This movie was like, they decided to shoot it in 92. I think
Hmm.
from the time they started shooting or started development till release was like 9 months. It was done
Hmm.
like really quick, all shot on location, shot in North Carolina, and it's like a love letter to Chicago. I mean, it's all everything
Oh
else is all
yeah.
Chicago in this film. The director was from Chicago. He's like, oh yeah, I wanted to film here because I grew up in this neighborhood, and I wanted this building because I used to always go up the street to this building, and it was really, they shot the St. Patty's Day parade because it wasn't in the script. They're like, that'd be cool to shoot it. And they're like, hey, can we just like kind of like jump on there? They basically just went, they didn't tell people other than they got permission to do it, but they didn't tell the extras. The people walking the parade didn't realize Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones were running around between them. And they
Wow.
just had one cameraman operator just running with them and getting all these different shots of them. Harrison Ford's like, he's like, I don't think people recognize me because my hair was dyed black, and we got a lot shot before people recognized me, and then we had to stop. So that was all just done like quick, all one take in the parade. That's kind of the way this film was made, which is incredible. It came together and was Tommy Jones thought it was going to be an utter failure. It
Really?
was so not planned and so improv. He thought it was going to be just a disaster, and yeah,
I'm
that's
surprised to
why.
hear there was so much improvisation in this film. I mean, it really doesn't have that feel. It feels like a
No,
very tight script,
it
like
does.
if anything, I mean, if anybody, Harrison Ford will go into his little mumble zone where he
Yeah,
mumbles and other than that, outside, I mean, but that's a standard for him. But other than that, I'm so surprised to hear that it was kind of on the fly as
yeah.
you made it sound. I mean, it seems so tight. I will say though, going back to the whole Chicago thing, I was like, Chicago must have owed the director some money or something, because I was like, damn, there's like a big
uh,
old advertisement for
Chicagoed
this.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
like it was like deep
He just
Chicago.
loved Chicago. Used like all the like the side actors are all Chicago people in there. From Jane Lynch, who was at the time at Second City. Neil Flynn, the guy from Scrubs that played the janitor, gets
Yeah,
shot. He's a cop
yeah.
in the John Cusack's father and brother in the film because they were local Chicago actors. They just used all Chicago people.
They just said, any actors in
Yeah, you
Chicago, you're
got
welcome to come in and join the
Yeah.
team.
exactly.
How about
Yeah.
Joe Pantaleone, or whatever the heck
Ah,
his name
Well,
yes,
no,
the
is?
he was
Santoliano.
cast for that character, but he's not Harrison Ford. Surprisingly, is a Chicago guy, but
Really?
he was cast because he was Harrison Ford, not because he's from Chicago.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure the fact that he's from Chicago probably didn't hurt as far as this movie
Yeah,
though. Yeah, Joey Pants, man. We call him Joey Pants here, Dana, because nobody wants to go through the trouble of pronouncing that last name.
yeah,
So I
Yeah.
just gave up, and Scott gave him that moniker, Joey Pants, and it stuck. But it was a pleasant surprise to see him. It was a lot of, Jay. Was it Lynch? What's her name?
Jane Lynch. Yeah,
Jane
yeah.
Lynch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Weird
And
seeing
she was a
her.
nobody. This is
It
before
was
she
like,
did anything like Glee
yeah,
or
I
anything.
I did a double take. When she was on I was like, wait a minute, is that? I was like, I do not remember seeing her face in this movie. There's a lot of things about this movie that I'd forgotten. But yeah, man, let's go in. Any more facts
Yeah,
and figures you want to throw at us?
I mean, other than it's a perfect movie, no. I mean, that's it.
This
Well,
fucking guy.
I'm sure throughout the course of this review, you'll be reminding us of that fact, Scott.
Oh yeah, we'll never waver,
But
never waver. Every watching of this film is still there was no notes, no notes.